All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the UK Pro League Season 1 Qualifier number 2. And Jesse, would you like to do the intros?
Of course. First up, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whirlwind. He is our Blue Protoss representing Team Edification Empire, one game away from qualifying. His name is Spida! And opposing him in the upper right-hand corner, we have the Red Terran also on Team Edification Empire. He needs the next 2 games in a row, which means he needs to take the win here. His name is Ceonsamea!
Game paused.
Spider's mum is castling him.
Once again, we have some mother interference within...
You heard it here first,
qualifying
mothers killing esports.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I did... I did the sensible thing when I got into esports, which is cut off the majority contact.
Whoa, I thought you were going somewhere completely different when you said cut off in a sentence that involved your mother. Thank God it went that way. As bad as it is that you were cutting off contact with your parents, I'm so glad it didn't go in a completely different direction. I'm so happy.
As we know, can go in several directions when I'm around. Also installed a lock on my production room door, so that we can literally have no interference when I'm playing.
Game resumed.
I don't have that luxury. There is no option of locks or, well, anything on my door, and you can even hear dogs barking through the floor and birds just being jerks outside. But we are unpaused at the moment, so we're back into the game, and both players just building normal stuff. We're seeing Gateway down, we're seeing Barracks down, and the first gas on the way for Ceonsamea.
Indeed. Oh, I am excited for this. This is where we're really going to see the best of Ceon, you know? I joked about it before with the Badger references, but his back is really up against the wall here, you know? He lost 2-0 to Rockcod, and now he's 1 game down against his teammate. He is going to be very disappointed if he doesn't qualify for the UK Pro League. He has a very good attitude, very good outlook, but the fact is, he will be incredibly disappointed to not qualify. So we are going to see the best of play from him that he can possibly bring out. Which is why, once again, I imagine we're just going to see the same opening. As the reactor goes down on the barracks, it'll be 2 Reapers into an expand. And just going to be doing everything he can to take this game. Spider, meanwhile, has the luxury of essentially choosing how he wants to play this. Being 1 game up, you do have that 1 game buffer. He could go for some crazy cheese. He could just open Oracle and hope that Sion's not going to get a missile turret quickly enough. He could do some 1-base stuff, especially on Whirlwind when your opponent's not expecting it. Quite effective. But Sion with a decently timed scout, getting lucky with where he scouts him as well. So just going to be in a good position going on into the early game here.
Indeed, and I think we need to agree that if Ceon does win this game, he needs to have earned himself the nickname of the Badger Terran.
Absolutely. And I will enforce that everywhere.
So will I, but he has to win first, so it's all a question of how he plays. And once again, going for his normal strategy of just throwing down the command center really quite early, just going it before even before his wall off, and using it as part of the wall off instead of the barracks. He just seems to prefer that.
Yeah, it's something he's not, funnily enough, a player who deals well with early aggression, especially against Protoss, which I think is why Spider did that in game number 1 and why it was so effective. As you can see, Ceon now actually preparing for it a lot quicker with that bunker at the low ground. It's something he tries to forego. He just likes to early expand. He likes to set himself within the first, say, 7 to 10 minutes of every game, and then push on from there. So Protoss is going for that early aggression, going for the early pressure, can be incredibly effective, as you saw in game 1. But Ceon playing well, modifying his strategy, and, excuse me, Excuse me, Spida.
Proxy Stargate!
Well, I did
Oh,
say he
God.
had the luxury of doing whatever he felt like. Turns out what he feels like is proxy Stargate against Ceon. Now, Ceon does have the engineering bay down already, could feasibly throw up a missile turret and get himself into a nice position against Spida here.
Indeed, it's very possible, but he doesn't know about it yet. And there are no missile turrets. Oh, no, there we go. 2 missile turrets. This could be game-changing right now. Oracle's on the way. They're not going to be able to do that much damage. And if he finds out it's a proxy, then Spider's going to be in some serious trouble if he loses that. That's a lot of gas to be wasted at this stage in the game.
It certainly is, and do you know, I'm not sold on the proxy Stargate strategy. There are so many Terrans now that are so worried about this early game Oracle that they do this, that they get the early eBay, that they throw missile turrets down even without scouting it. Because the eBay is going to be useful anyway when you're a bio player like Ceon, where you're getting this +1 weapon very quickly, and boom, that missile turret sends the Oracle away as fast as possible. The Oracle, of course, still able to get a few kills, and there's no missile turret right now in the mineral line of the second base, but too many Marines there and waiting means this Oracle is going to be incredibly ineffective. It's going to catch 1 SCV building, and it's going to be annoying, but it's not going to do anywhere near as much damage as it could otherwise.
It's even going to take some more damage itself. It's going to die if it's not careful, and it does go down. Spida being a bit careless there with his Oracle, and he's pretty much just abandoned that Stargate for now and has begun continued production in his main base. He already has a Robo up and is beginning production of an Oracle, of an Observer, and his Robotics Bay, so he can begin his Colossus.
Yep, moving into the same strategy as game number 1, but doing it slightly slower, doing it from a slightly behind position. And this is where, again, we get to see how good Ceon is, because now Ceon dealt with the early aggression out of his opponent. He's now not in a situation where he's playing from behind from the start. He gets to do what he wants to do, whereas his opponent is playing from a little bit behind after investing that amount of money and gas into a proxy Stargate, into the Oracle, that ended up doing almost nothing. So Ceon in a very good position to do this push out and see if he can't snipe Spida in game number 2. That's a lot of Marines moving across the map. Of course, the starport not done yet, so they're not going to have medevac support. He just wants to push in and do damage essentially as fast as possible. Observer, of course, spying everything that's going on with this army. But does Spida have enough to hold? He's got a mothership core with full energy, so he will have the photon overcharge, but apart from that, there's not many units there.
Indeed, he doesn't want to be too risky. He's throwing down the photon overcharge very preemptively, just so he can make sure that his Colossus does finish up. He has a lot of sentries, so he's going to be able to force field for a long time. He is just stalling for Colossus right now.
Yep, and Ceon wisely pulling back. He moves in, forces the photon overcharge. It really would not pay. Yeah, this is good play. Actually sending 2 Marines out just to check the other bases for when the third's going down. So he will be spying that Spider's trying to take that third. Really like that. That gives him another option once the first 2 medevacs are out to perhaps go and attack there instead of straight into the main. Meanwhile, of course, taking his own third, adding more barracks production. Oh, he's even going to spy the Colossus with that Marine.
Indeed, that Marine being very valuable, seeing third base and the tech his opponent is going for, so he knows exactly what is going on right now. He's throwing down an armory, he's already producing Vikings. Ceon is actually in a really good position this game.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting excited about it. I really want to see this go to the wire. I want to see Ceon play well here. I want to see him get a nickname. That's the most important part, obviously, is the nickname. But yeah, like you said, very good position. However, of course, as we've seen, Spida is a very, very good player. And he is going to get his third base up. He's going to get out some Colossus and get himself into a nice position, at least. Twilight Council going down. It looks to be exactly the same strategy as last game, where we'll see the Twilight Council go into High Templars. Of course, we could see some attempted sneaky play with a Dark Shrine, but I don't like it. After investing so much in trying to catch your opponent off guard with the Proxy Stargate, it feels like too much to ask also that he's going to get caught off guard by DTs.
what I'm worried about is the fact that Proxy Stargate is still there and it hasn't been doing anything. I think he should really be using it for something.
Well,
not
we've
sure,
got a
but-
drop in the back of the main base, however, and doing quite well, killing a few probes, doing some damage to the Nexus, despite the photon overcharge, but one Colossus does go back and with the photon overcharge is able to force Ceon out. However, what that's doing is pulling the army potentially away while an attack comes into the third. But scanning there, almost giving it away, essentially, that he's wanting to attack in. And Spida able to respond with this army, and Ceon, as soon as he sees it, going to back out of there because, of course, no medevac support there whatsoever. Has to be very, very careful.
Indeed, no medevac support at all, and I just think he should be using this proxy for something. He should either be using it to build, like you said, he could be throwing a DT shrine up there with the Stargate, or just using the Stargate possibly for like a couple Phoenix for harassment or something. I know there's missile turrets, etc., but it would be nice to see a Void Ray or two just to do the damage to the buildings.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is, of course, that he's already pretty much spending his entire mineral income on just trying to build up enough of an army, get enough gateways down, that he can transition into the High Templar style. So he really doesn't have a lot of money to spare on extraneous tech or on extraneous units. But like you say, you know, it would still be nice to see that being made use of. But I don't think there's much he can do with it to be effective. The Void Rays aren't going to be too great against this army. Obviously, with a lot of the Vikings out anyway, just to counter the Colossus, they're not going to last too long. And that's a heavy bio army. So I think he's better off just doing what he's doing, getting that the Templar Archives down, getting the High Templar out as soon as possible. And, you know, there's always the possibility of using that Stargate again a bit later, perhaps when Ceon will have forgotten about it.
Indeed, couldn't agree more. And as you said, this is a powerful army that Ceon is building here. He's sort of making a stream of units across the map. The stream has pretty much run dry at the moment, but he now has a fairly large group. Vikings trying to get in range of those Colossus, but sort of being dragged off. Another drop in the main base, aiming for cannons, but there is a Zealot and the Photon Overcharge down to protect that. So he can keep his main army in the third base in a very safe position. Ceon not really sure what to do here, doesn't know whether to engage, and there is a hallucinated Colossus. The scan will reveal that it is hallucinated, but if beforehand it was very difficult. Vikings moving in, going to try and snipe a real Colossus. They get one at least, and the engagement is happening here. Stalkers, however, doing huge amounts of damage. Second Viking will go down. Very nice play here by Ceon, but his bio army has been kind of destroyed here. Meeting up with reinforcements, though, that explains why they were waiting there, trying to lure the army in, but Spida not having any of it has turned around and headed straight home. Storm is just about to finish up. Does he have any High Templar with his force? Not yet, but he has the potential to begin warping them in now, which would be great. And there's the GG by Ceon, not willing to wait, which means our third player qualifying for the UK Pro League is Edification Empire's Spida.